After my studies at architecture, 5 years in architecture, I had this opportunity to do 1 year research at MIT Media Lab. I'm not sure. So that time we were working on mixed reality at Media Lab, where Microsoft had come up with its device called HoloLens, which allowed you to sort of project images out there in the real world. And we were creating tools to help kids learn physics in an engaged world. So how many of you are familiar with this institution, MIT Media Lab? Do people know about? Yeah, some of you. So this is an interdisciplinary lab at in Boston at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where essentially it's a place where people from different skill sets, they come together. So there's a musician who will be working with a game designer, working with a neuro person, and they will be working on something very different. So after college, I knew like that is a place that I definitely want to go at, and I want to work at. So I worked in this augmented reality way back in 2017, and that really made me super enthusiastic about this field, which is just coming up right now. And I was impressed with how they were doing things with education. Although like the part 2 of the story is that that device there was $3,000, and I was like, इसमें तो like किसी का 10 साल का एजुकेशन ही हो जाएगा इंडिया में करके. So I really was asking myself, is it really solving education for like countries where like India or like other places? So I mean, that started my journey of like sort of coming back. I met this lady here. Does anyone know this picture? She is Margaret Hamilton, who wrote the code for the Apollo 11 mission, and like single-handedly she wrote these volumes of things. And she was also working at MIT at that point. So I had the fortune to meet like a lot of inspiring world leaders at that time. It also made me more connected to what I mentioned earlier was my connection with India. But yeah, that was a Media Lab's experience for me. I can say from my lived experience is like I had grown up for a long time to not be authentic. Like I was told by my parents to always be the model student, be a poster for something that I'm fundamentally not. The worst thing that can happen if you are an inauthentic leader is that you get successful, because then you will draw people and everyone will come reading the poster, but then they will find out that what you were talking about was not true, or that does not align with your personal values. Because one, we have so many avenues in which people are exposed today, which wasn't present like 10 years back. Before you could only like in a press conference or in a thing, but now in a world where like every thought, everything is recorded, it's very easy to know whether you're consistent or not. And especially in a world where things are recorded, right? Once something is there on the internet, it will never get lost. So I think there's a greater cost to being inauthentic, is that like your trust will break very easily. And like trust is one thing that if it breaks, it breaks, right? And like you can convince the world like, oh, I didn't mean that, but I didn't mean this, but it's gone. So it's a very delicate thing that takes years to build, but takes just minutes to get lost. So I would say like, yeah, authenticity is very important because trust is fundamentally important. I always wanted to go to that place. That place was, the projects where something I was really inspired to. I had applied as a master's student at that time, right out of college, didn't get in. It's a very selective thing. They just take 30 students. And fun thing, they also pay for your education. So you don't have to pay anything right outside of your pocket. But I essentially wrote, so I decided that, I'm not taking this defeat. I have to be there, because I had no other plan. I hadn't sat in the placements or anything. So I decided, there was this one professor whose work I was deeply resonating with. So I wrote her an email saying like, these are my skills. This is what I have attained. If I go there, this is what I can help. Which project and what skills of mine will work alongside with that project. And essentially I made the visualization for her really easy, that what would happen if I go end up there. And then she connected me with one of her grad students, who was interestingly someone from Pakistan. and we got on a Skype call, and yeah, Skype was a thing then, and that is how that all sort of started. So it was just like a cold call to this professor. So just write emails to people. You never know when they feel extra generous. मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा तो सुर बने हमारा, and Happy Republic Day India. So that was a competition that we had at MIT, where people had to draw the map of India from memory. So I stood second in that thing, and so yeah, those were like when the seeds of Desh Prem was starting to take roots there. So hence that.